Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. There is a din in Choshen Mishpat, Simin Taf Chav Dalid, Seif Ches, where the Shulchan Aruch says, HaChoyvel becheresh shoyte v'katan, anybody who wounds, damages a mute person or a shoyta, somebody who is not healthy, somebody's retarded, v'katan, child, if you hurt any of these, because their maturity is not there, chayiv. You're still obligated, even though their maturity, they're not considered mature enough to understand what's going on, you still have to pay for what you did. However, heim shechavlu ba'acherim, for example, if a katan, a young child, caused damage somebody else, peturim, he will not be obligated to pay. He's a minor. You can't charge a minor for what he did. He doesn't realize it's a mistake. Afal pi, even though eventually the Shulchan Aruch goes on, even though the minor became older and the shoyter became healthy and the cheresh is able to speak, still once the action was done when he's a minor, you can't. Einam chayavim l'shalem, they still don't have to pay. Shebishah shechavlu behem, because at the time that they did the damage, lo yoyu b'nei das, they weren't mature enough to realize what they were doing was wrong. Now, actually, in Hilchos Shabbos, the Alter Rebbe brings that it's mekubal that ketanim, if a person does an aveira when he's a katan, sometime in his mature life, he should try to do tshuva even for the aveiros that he did when he was a katan. Everybody wants to leave with a clean slate. So I saw an interesting shaila discussed. Everybody watches their children. We hope we educate our children to be mentioned and not to do these things, not to damage. They learn in their home how to behave. So a mother or father are going shopping with their children, and they put the child, anything under bar mitzvah. Let's say you put a 5-year-old in the shopping cart, and you're going down the aisle. You're going down the aisle looking for different things. It could be in a food store or another shopping store where they have expensive stuff. And the mother or the father put the shopping cart too close to the merchandise, and a kid, being a kid, he knocked down some of the merchandise. And guess what? An expensive vase, or expensive food item, or whatever, is all schmutzig, all dirty on the floor, gone. So the question becomes, are the parents responsible to pay? We see that a katan shechavla, you can't obviously ask the kid to pay, not only because he doesn't have money, because a katan is not a bardas. A katan is not mechuyev for his action, he's a minor. But should we say the adults should have enough understanding that you don't put a shopping cart in an aisle or close enough to glass jars, and if they did that, then it's their fault, they have to pay. So this is a discussion in Achrayim. Some try to compare it to a case that the Gemara discusses. The Gemara discusses if somebody, obviously the beginning of Masechta Baba Kama, the Gemara talks about the primary damages, how a person could damage other people. So it talks about the Arba Aves Nezikin, the 4 primary ways, Shur, Bur, Mava, and Hever. And we'll talk the one that's Nageya to us, Hever, fire is where you start a fire wherever. If the fire is able, because of where you started, to reach somebody else's property just by regular wind, even though your hand didn't do the damage, but your action in wherever you were caused the damage to your friend's property. You don't have to necessarily go into the property and damage it. If what you did in your property in a direct way causes a damage to somebody else, because making a fire in such a way that it could catch easily to the next property, it's what we call garmi. Garmi is called a directly caused damage. So, an example would be if somebody is walking with an animal and he's walking right next to his friend's property, and the friend has nice bushes, the friend has nice fruits or whatever, vegetables, and the animal's eating away. The question is, it's my animal, and I didn't really tell him to cause damage, but it's nature that when you walk with an animal, that's what an animal does. Could we assume, so the halacha says, because that's what the animal does, I'm responsible for bringing my animal there. So not to compare people to animals, but children will always build children. Children will always look for things to play around with. By parking the shopping cart right next to expensive glass, that's your fault. You just put something, a kid will always see a tchotchke and break it. So should it be chayiv? So actually in the Sefer Pischei Choshen and Sefer Yoshev Yitzchak, they taka say, if a parent parked a shopping cart near an item and the kid was able to throw it down, sorry, it's no different than that story of the animal. However, what happens if the parent was pretty much careful? The aisles are built in such a way that you're able to shop walking with a cart. And the owners of the store know that you're bringing children. Elamai, they expect you to be careful and not to bring the children close enough. So what happens if you did not put the shopping cart right next to the tchotchkes, and somehow the kid found himself doing it? So some poskim say in a case like that, they should pay just lotzei sidei shamayim, because, after all, somebody had a damage. Of course, the storekeeper could always refuse and say, I understand this is the way we do business. I understand that mistakes happen, and that might be even better. But lotzei sidei shamayim actually would be correct for the person to pay, for the parents to pay. But al pi din, first, a cotton for sure doesn't have to pay. As long as the parent didn't put the kid close enough that they have to for sure cause the damage, it's not a problem.